newspapers went through something and are going through something over the last decade that is transformational to our economics. We got to own up to that. When I started out in journalism at the New Orleans States Item and then the Picayune and others, 80% of our revenue came from advertising.
Right.
And the money you paid, your 25 cent then or 10 cent then, to buy the paper was like nothing. That contributed very little. That whole model has been reversed. Advertising's gone away, or going away. It remains some, but not at those levels.
Right.
And the driving force of the economics of news organizations like mine is the reader.
Consumer revenue.
Yes.
Well, honestly, you talk about when you started out, it was 80% in New Orleans. As recently as 2000 at the New York Times, 70% of the New York Times revenue was print advertising revenue.
Totally.
Right?
I remember Friday nights when I was the national editor of the New York Times when the page, the scratches we called them of what the paper was going to look like.
Yep.
And I would look at it and I would say, oh my God, I have to find enough copy to fill these funny little holes surrounded by advertising. And I remember one week there were so many of them. You'd have to produce these little stories that went like that around the ads.
Yeah.
That the publisher walked into me the next Monday and he said, "We're not going to do that again. We looked piggy." That was a different world.
Different time. Today, as we sit here in 2016, you've got about $500 million annually in digital revenue.
That's right.
And you're moving toward $800 million by 2020 as part of an exercise that you've all undertaken, a strategic plan of sorts, where the New York Times goes, this 2020 report.
That's right.
You're optimistic about the future.
I am.
Many
really
people
am.
are worried about the future of journalism. They're worried about the president of journalism.
Yeah.
But they're especially worried about the future. You're not.
I'm not. I think that I am worried about the future of a lot of regional journalism.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the future of the New York Times. The New York Times, historically, like most papers, was dependent on advertising. Being dependent on advertising is not a lot of fun because advertisers get mad. You push back at them. You don't bend to advertisers, but they're a pain in the butt. To be dependent on readers, to be dependent on the people who are most invested in our mission, that's the best thing that ever
You're building a
happened.
relationship with the people who are going to carry you forward, right? That's it.
Totally.